I love your hair. It's so cute.
Thank you. Do you feel like your parents indirectly kind of because of like keeping up with the expectation, like science students are smart. Like in my
Yeah.
case, my mom used to say like जो साइंस लेते हैं उनमें दिमाग होता है और जो कॉमर्स और आर्ट्स के होते हैं उनमें इतना लॉजिकल थिंकिंग नहीं होता. So do you feel like what are your parents' occupation like?
So my mum is an architect and
Uh-huh.
my dad is an engineer.
Yeah.
And they were both science people and they were like, science is science. So my parents, when I told them that I want to step away from being a doctor, I was in my internship, which is your last year of medical school. And I gave the audition because I was like, why not?
This is made in heaven.
This is made in heaven.
Wow.
And when I got the part, I was like, Zoya Akhtar wants to cast me? That's crazy. And I went and I told my parents, and the first thing my mom said was, you don't want to be a doctor anymore? I was like, what? That's your first reaction? And even they were like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And, you know, there was a lot of that pressure at home that, okay, you're stepping away from medicine. And to be very honest with you, I come from a very middle class family where we don't have like, you know, my parents were not like, you come back, we'll support you through acting. They were not like that. They were like, if you're doing this, it's on you. Like, we're not going to pay any money whatsoever. It's your life. Now things have changed a little bit because they see how much I love it. But it was a lot of pressure making that call and shifting to Bombay. So I think, first of all, yeah, this whole science law, you'll be smart thing is bullshit. Like, it's just not true. If that were true, then all of my professors would have been very supportive. They were not. They didn't understand me. They didn't support me. And yeah, in forensic medicine, it's a subject, in second year. So we have a chapter called sexual perversions. In that chapter on sexual perversions, it talks about homosexuality and trans identity and like all of these things in a very outdated way. So I remember that class so vividly where a professor was there and he was saying these things that like, you know, lesbianism is mental derangement and, you know, homosexuality is this and that and trans people are basically a lot of garbage. And I remember sitting there, all of my classmates sitting around me, they would just like look at me
Damn.
when the professor was saying these things and they would make eye contact with me and look at me. And I remember feeling like such a circus animal. I was like, what am I actually? Am I this? You know, am I a joke? And it's taken so long to then, we approached the Chennai High Court actually, Justice and Anand Venkatesh, saying that this is what's happening in medical schools. And he was like, why don't you write me a report? And I wrote an extensive report on how LGBT people are treated in medical school, even in the syllabus.
Wow.
And he, along with other such reports, passed a directive asking the National Medical Commission to remove all this nonsense from textbooks.
So it's gone
So
now?
it's happening. Textbooks are
wow.
actually being revised and changed.
Insane. Wow.
And yeah, it's like that felt like such a win when
It
that
is.
happened because I was like, I will not sit in a classroom and be taught amongst other people that I am some sort of disorder or disease. I am just as normal as you, just as beautiful, if not more, than you. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that people from this community will not be pathologized in a hospital. Yeah, thank you for that question.
Hello, you look beautiful today, first
As do
of all.
you.
So my question for you is, how do you set boundaries with people who does not respect your identity as a trans?
One of my boundaries in any relationship, romantic or otherwise, is disrespect. I feel like disrespect is such a major red flag. I will not tolerate it in any capacity. And disrespect is not being called chakka to your face. That is obvious, right? But disrespect can be very subtle also. But as
Can you give an example when you say for you specifically what is?
yeah. So I think that as a trans person, something that happens, this is TMI, major TMI, telling you now only, sorry. In romantic relationships, something that I realize is when you're with a man, right, there is so much prejudice and transphobia in society that they get very embarrassed to be seen with you in public spaces. And when you're also someone that's known online or whatever, that gets worse because then, you could be recognized and then they would be seen with you. And that is a hard boundary for me. If you're not proud of me, if you're not proud of my achievements and what I've done with my life, then you have no business being in my life. That's a solid boundary, If you are not as proud of me as I am of myself, which itself has been such a hard thing to do, my own father is proud of me. Who are you? It's like that. It's basic, but it's true.
But this is, I must say, thank you so much, first of all, for sharing so many of these things and doing it over and over again. I know that you have said this in so many different forums and, you repeat yourself. And I feel
As
like,
we should,
yeah, and I know that there is a certain amount of labor that is put on you to be able to do this work, when I feel like now it is also the job and responsibility of society to be doing equal amount of labor in understanding it ourselves. At the very least, it should be about empathy, right? And I feel like that is where most of our society struggles, even at this point of time. Do you think that there is more acceptance? Do you think that there's a shift? Are things getting better?
I feel like in some ways, social media has made it better for us to have access to people. But a problem that didn't exist earlier is online harassment. Because someone is fine in a classroom, cool. But when they go back home and they're harassing you on Instagram or on any other platform, that can be really difficult for a child. And I see, lots of kids dealing with harassment and like to the point of taking their own lives happen all the time. Every year there are cases that this happens. There was this child called RV, right? And his mother, Aarti Malhotra,
I know the
was
case, yeah.
a teacher at a particular school, and RV took his own life after being really badly harassed online and offline by his classmates. And I feel like it's unfortunate, but it does still happen. And in fact, with content creators and influencers and actors having a platform to share their opinions, if you're transphobic and misogynistic and have a platform, that's dangerous. Some accountability for, prejudice on social media does need to happen.
This is a question that I grapple with a lot, because of course, with everything that we try to do at Yuvaa, we try to address it in some way. How do you inculcate empathy into a online generation of young people, And I feel like right now we're living in a world where the loudest, most mean voices also get the most retweets, they get the most likes, they get the most reach. So when that is your reality, when algorithms also in many ways are pushing cruelty or mean-spiritedness as much as possible, how do you make empathy cool and inclusivity cool? And how do you inculcate it, in spaces both offline and online? I'm sure there's some thought you must have given to this as well.
I think it's important for more and more of us to use that platform to talk about empathy and queerness and not use it as some sort of like joke, Just as you do, as someone with a platform, you make space for important conversations or conversations that can feature even in entertaining ways for that matter, right? Like a Badhai Do as a movie was wonderful.
Absolutely.
And it was very entertaining but also very wholesome. So people who want to create spaces online for change will do it. But even otherwise, to just build that conversation over and over and over until it's normal, that's important.
No, absolutely.
And so thank you for doing that, I appreciate that.
No, thank you for always, as I said, doing the labor, because it's hard to talk about these things, I would imagine, every time you talk about them. Finally, I just actually, because you've also mentioned therapy so often in this conversation, I want to ask you, what is that one thing that has helped you most in therapy?
I think as an individual, I really did not believe I have any worth as a human being. You know, I think you always feel like बचपन से लोग ताने मारते हैं, and you just grow up thinking that you don't deserve anything in life or that you are not worthy of happiness.
Yeah.
And when you operate from that space as a person, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy in some ways. You choose friends and people and equations that don't make you happy. And it's taken a long time in therapy, but I finally feel like I'm proud of this, of what I've built and the body I have and the identity I've created over time. And that's a great feeling.
That's
That's
amazing.
a lovely feeling to have. What about you? What's your biggest therapy takeaway?
Therapy was the reason why I ended up starting Yuvaa and Be a Man, yaar, you know, in many ways, because therapy made me realize that a lot of the anxiety that I was going through in my life was because of masculinity. It was the gender norms that I was trying to fit myself into, that the world was trying to fit me into. And I realized that that is not the path that I wanted to be in life. I didn't want to live my life only living out the milestones that a man in society has to go through. And in fact, you know, now that I'm in Jai Hind, I must say that the two things that compelled me to start Yuvaa, one was therapy, the second was Jai Hind. I used to come here and I started something called the Kindness Project. It was a project that I did with my students where at the end of every semester, we would create what I didn't know at that time was a safe space. So we would create a safe space with young people coming in, my students coming in and sharing who they are outside of what the world judges them to be.
Yeah.
It was 2 days of people just
Okay.
coming and sharing their stories, you know, and then everybody would cheer them, support them, hug them, like, let's do this. So it really became life-changing for me.
Yeah.
Today, while I'm saying that, I must also thank folks like Maybelline New York, because, you know, if I'm able to do something like this, it is because of brands like them who are supporting us in this kind of an initiative. So huge cheers to them. One of the biggest things about therapy is one step at a time. What is a step in therapy for your mental health that you have taken over the years that has really helped you on a daily basis?
I take a walk.
Oh, wow.
That sounds really basic.
But it's great.
But I take a really long walk, and either really early in the morning or really late at night, where there's not a lot of people and it's just me and the city and my neighborhood. And I feel like that really grounds me as a person. You know, I feel like no matter what is happening in my head, sometimes you forget to just step out and breathe fresh air.
Yeah.
And, you know, look at what's around you. And I sit sometimes in bandstand with my mask on and like that. And just watch people. I love watching people. Like from a corner, like a fly on the wall. Because I feel like that's such a fascinating thing to do. You learn so much about how people walk, talk, behave, laugh, cry, what someone in love looks like, or what someone who's sad. And it's just, it reminds me that I'm human and that, I'm also one among people. I'm no different because I'm trans.
That's so sweet.
I love that. And the second is cutting people out. I just
love that.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share.